I'm a born monster, with evil running through my veins like liquid poison. My foster mother played favorites, giving the only piece of fried chicken to my brother, saying he needed the protein for his studies. I nodded sweetly, then went straight to the backyard and snapped the neck of our only laying hen, tossing its corpse into the well. My foster parents went ballistic, starving me as punishment and threatening to sell me to the town butcher as his bride. So I torched the bastard's pig farm, bankrupting him overnight. After that, nobody dared touch me. They locked me in the cellar, planning to starve me to death. Fine by me, if I was going down. I take them all with me. I dumped rat poison into the town's water supply. The whole fucking town was puking and shitting their guts out for days. When my billionaire birth parents showed up at our doorstep, the mayor literally dropped to his knees and thanked God. My foster mother clung to my real mother's legs, snot and tears streaming down her face. This child has a black heart. You're rich, folks. For God's sake, keep her locked up tight. My mother thought she was just being dramatic. Until we got home, and her precious adopted daughter stood there in her designer dress, pointing at me with perfectly manicured nails. Sister, I know you just got back, but Daddy already ordered my yacht for next week. You won't try to take it from me, will you? I tilted my head. Studying her, this adopted daughter was named Luna. A year younger than me, just a yacht, I said flatly, my tone unreadable. Luna stomped her foot, tears welling up in her eyes. What do you mean? Just. It's my 18th birthday present. Daddy promised to invite all the media for the biggest yacht party ever. She turned those watery eyes toward my parents standing behind me. My mother immediately pulled her into an embrace, cooing softly, Luna, sweetie. Your sister just got home. She doesn't understand yet. Nobody's taking anything from you. My father frowned at me. Stella, apologize to your sister. I watched the three of them, one happy family, and smiled, sure. I stepped forward, facing Luna. I'm sorry, behind my parents' backs. Luna flashed me a triumphant smirk. My mother nodded approvingly, leading Luna away to try on party dresses. My newly met brother Marcus approached me with cold eyes. Stella, don't think you can do whatever you want, just because you're back in this family. Luna matters more than you. I nodded, got it. Then I asked the butler for the yacht captain's number. When he answered, I said just one thing. This is Mr. Stone's daughter. About next week's party, I want that boat to never make it to sea. Silence on the other end, I chuckled softly. I know you have a wife and kids. You look adorable, that yacht looks unlucky. If something happens, insurance won't cover the crew's lives. I added, when it's done, my father will give you a generous bonus for your Fs. Captain immediately understood. 1 week later, delivery day. The marina was packed with celebrities, cameras flashing like strobe lights. Luna wore a custom princess gown, standing center stage like royalty. Basking in the attention, she held my father's arm. Thank you, Daddy. This is the best gift ever. Just as my father was about to cut the ribbon, gasps erupted from the crowd. The brand new massive, supposedly unthinkable Princess Luna began slowly tilting forward before everyone's eyes. No explosion, no drama. Just quietly, elegantly sinking into the ocean by bit, until only innocent bubbles remained on the surface. Luna's smile froze on her face. Cameras swung wildly between her shocked expression and the calm water. Then back again, I stood in the corner, watching her face transform from ecstasy to shock to humiliation, and took a leisurely sip of champagne. Not bad, Luna's yacht party became the city's biggest joke. That night, the house atmosphere was suffocating. Luna sobbed in my mother's arms, eyes swollen like a beaten raccoon. Mom, my birthday party is ruined. Everyone's laughing at me. My father chain smoked on the couch, his face dark as thunder. Marcus kicked open my door, eyes bloodshot. Was it you, Stella? Are you fucking insane? I was sitting on the carpet peeling an apple with a small knife. I looked up. Yeah. My blunt admission caught him off guard. I flipped a piece of apple into my mouth, chewing slowly. She wanted a yacht. I gave her a submarine. She should thank me for the upgrade, you. Marcus raised his hand to hit me. I flipped my wrist, the knife blade pointing at his eye. Try it, my eyes were cold like looking at a corpse. Madness in my gaze scared him. His raised hand froze, then dropped. Psycho. You're a fucking psycho, he stormed out. Soon my parents came in. Father declared you're grounded for a month. All cards confiscated, you don't leave this room without my permission. Mother tried the emotional approach. Sitting on my bed with tears in her eyes. Bella, I know you've suffered. But you can't do this, Luna is your sister. She's innocent and sensitive. I cut her off, she's not my sister. I looked her in the eye, enunciating each word. She's a cuckoo bird who stole my nest. And wants to pack the real owner to death. Mother went pale, speechless at my venomous words. I'd never imagined her biological daughter would describe her precious adopted daughter with such poison. She fled, I continued peeling my apple in the empty room. The blade scraped against the skin with a satisfying sound. Music to my ears, bounding was boring. Luna paraded past my door daily dressed to kill. She couldn't enter. So she chat with the maids just loud enough for me to hear. Marcus took me to the new riding club today. The white horses were gorgeous. He's buying me one tomorrow. Mom and Dad are taking me to Europe tomorrow to cheer me up. Poor sister can't go, so sad. I ignored her until one day all hell broke loose. Mother's wedding ring was missing. It was Grandma's heirloom. Priceless and irreplaceable. Luna knelt before Mother, sobbing hysterically. Mom, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have tried it on when you weren't wearing it. I just left it on the vanity for a second and it vanished. She cried, while stealing terrified glances at my room. The other day I saw sister staring at the ring. She said it was beautiful, Mom. She wouldn't, would she? She might as well have written guilty on my forehead. My parents' faces darkened immediately. Marcus kicked my door down. Ella, give back the ring. I was reading by the window. Ignoring the drama, Father ordered search the room. Maids ransacked my room, tossing everything around. I didn't move, letting them destroy my space. Finally, one maid found the glittering diamond ring inside. The stuffing of my only possession from the village. An old doll, the room went silent. Everyone stared at me with undisguised disappointment. Disgust and contempt, Father trembled with rage. We bring you home, give you everything. And you repay us with theft and malice. Mother clutched her chest. Tears streaming silently, Marcus pointed at my nose. If you're pathetic, you don't deserve this family. Luna hid behind Mother red-eyed with victory. Curling her lip, I didn't look at them or the ring. My gaze pierced through everyone. Landing on Luna, then I laughed. Really laughed, my reaction stunned everyone. They probably thought I'd lost it. They were right, they'd driven me insane. He gave up on me completely. Father contacted a top-tier behavioral correction center. In Switzerland, overnight. Luna tearfully persuaded Mother. Mom, send sister to Switzerland. The environment is good, the doctors are professional. Maybe when she comes back she'll be normal. Her words were the final straw. They decided to ship me off immediately. The ride to the airport was deathly silent. My parents sat in front, rigid as statues. Marcus sat beside me like a judge. Behave yourself there, stop playing games. Maybe someday you can come back as a normal person. Luna didn't come, she said I scared her. I stared out the window, silent. As we approached the airport highway, I finally spoke. My voice was soft but exploded like thunder in the confined space. Mom, do you remember the lullaby Grandma used to sing to me? Mother stiffened. The one she made up that only our family's little star could hear. Mother's voice cracked, of course it was your favorite. Interesting, I turned my gaze. Sweeping over everyone in the car. Last week, I heard Luna humming that song in her room. I asked her what it was so pretty. She said it was from the orphanage. Every kid knew it, the car went dead silent. I could hear Mother's breathing quicken. Father's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Sharp as knives, Marcus's mockery froze on his face. I continued leisurely with innocent cruelty in my voice. That lullaby has no sheet music. No recordings, Grandma died the year before I was kidnapped. So the only people who know that song should be Dad. Mom, me. I paused, looking out the window as if admiring the scenery. And whoever took me from you. The driver slammed the brakes. Tires screeching, Father roared immediately. Turn around home, now. No one mentioned Switzerland or the correction center again. The ride home was heavier than before. Mother trembled, staring at me like she couldn't believe it. Like she'd found a lifeline. Marcus's face changed colors. Shocked out, finally. Ash white, back home. Father called his head of security. Investigate Luna, everything from birth. It's nothing, the bodyguard left immediately. Luna must have heard the car. She ran downstairs in a lazy nightgown. Mom, Dad. Why are you back? Marcus. Sister, get on the plane, okay. Her innocent smile now looked grotesque to everyone. Mother jumped up, grabbed her wrist. Tell me where you heard that song. Luna went white. Mom. What's wrong? What song? The one you were humming in your room? Mother's voice turned shrill. Where did you learn it? Luna's eyes welled up instantly. I don't remember. Maybe I heard you humming it and remembered the excuse was pathetic. So weak that even Marcus, who always protected her, asked, Mom. Do you hum lullabies? Mother shook her head. Disappointment flooding her eyes. Never, Luna panicked. Breaking free and throwing herself at Marcus. Brother, I really don't remember. Why are you all looking at me like this? Did sister say something bad about me again? She's jealous, she wants me gone. Marcus held her body stiff for once. Offering no comfort, the dam of trust had cracked. 2 days later, the investigation results arrived. Luna's background was flawless. Orphanage raised, excellent grades. Well liked, but one detail stood out. The orphanage director who'd recommended Luna to my parents had retired within a month of her adoption. Emigrating with his entire family. Vanishing without a trace. Too convenient, like covering something up. The air in the estate turned into thick, unbreathable ash. It took exactly 48 hours for a seed of doubt to sprout into a suffocating jungle of paranoia. My father didn't go to the office the next day. He sat in his mahogany-paneled study, the door locked, the blinds drawn tight. My mother stopped coming out of her bedroom, her meals returned untouched, save for the occasional sound of muffled, hysterical weeping that bled through the walls. And Luna? Luna was unraveling like a cheap sweater snagged on a nail. I watched her from the top of the grand staircase. She was pacing the marble foyer, biting her perfectly manicured thumbnails down to the quick. The staff, sensing the shift in the wind, had stopped hovering around her. The invisible crown she had worn since my arrival was gone, replaced by the unmistakable stench of desperation. When she saw me looking down at her, she froze, her eyes, usually wide and doe-like, narrowed into feral slits. What are you looking at, psycho? She hissed, her voice devoid of its usual syrupy sweetness. The mask was slipping. I didn't answer, I just tilted my head, gave her a slow, dead-eyed smile, and dropped a single white rose, plucked from the bouquet Marcus had left outside my door that morning. Over the banister, it fluttered down, landing with a soft thud at her feet, like a funeral offering. She flinched as if I had dropped a grenade, turning on her heel and fleeing toward the west wing. Guilt is a funny thing, it makes arrogant men fold like cheap lawn chairs. Marcus was the first to break. That evening, he knocked on my door. He didn't kick it this time, it was a soft, hesitant rap, the kind a beggar gives a king's gate. Stella? I was sitting on the windowsill, sharpening my little apple-peeling knife against the stone ledge. Scrape, 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 it's unlocked. He pushed the door open, hovering in the frame. His eyes were bloodshot, his face haggard. The golden boy of the Stone family suddenly looked 10 years older. He stared at the knife in my hand, swallowed hard, and looked at my face. Dad sent a team to Europe, Marcus said, his voice raspy, to track down the orphanage director. They found his son in Monaco, living like a king, millions in his offshore accounts that were funded by a shell corporation. He paused, his throat working, a corporation tied to a woman named Helen Vance. I stopped scraping the blade. Who is Helen Vance? Marcus leaned his head against the doorframe, looking violently sick. She was our head housekeeper. She worked for us the year you were born. She was fired for stealing 3 days before you were abducted. I let the silence stretch, heavy and suffocating. I didn't feign shock, I didn't gasp, I just stared at him with my dark, abyssal eyes. And? Helen Vance had a daughter, Marcus whispered, a tear finally breaking free and tracking down his cheek. A daughter born exactly 1 year after you. She gave her up to an orphanage before she vanished, the same orphanage Luna came from. He slowly slid down the doorframe until he was sitting on the floor, his head in his hands. They stole you, they threw you into hell just so they could plant her here, a cuckoo bird in the nest, just like you said. I looked down at the knife in my hand, the silver gleamed in the moonlight. I felt a strange, cold flutter in my chest. It wasn't sadness, it wasn't grief, it was vindication. It tasted like blood and iron, and it was delicious. Are you going to cry, Marcus? I asked, my tone flat. He looked up, his face twisted in agony. Stella, I'm so sorry, God, I'm so sorry. I wanted to hit you, I called you a psycho, You're right, I interrupted. Hopping down from the windowsill, I walked over to him, my bare feet silent on the thick carpet. I squatted down so we were eye to eye. I am a psycho. That foster family starved me, beat me, and tried to sell me to a man who smelled like rotting meat. I burned his livelihood to the ground and poisoned an entire town to ensure my survival. I am damaged beyond repair, Marcus. I don't have a heart anymore. It withered and died in a root cellar when I was 8. I reached out, pressing the cold, flat side of the blade against his cheek. He shuddered but didn't pull away. Don't come in here looking for forgiveness. I have none to give. You want to make it right? I leaned in, my voice dropping to a harsh whisper. Help me destroy her. Marcus stared into my dead eyes. Slowly, the guilt in his expression hardened into something else, something dark, something like me. He nodded. Tell me what to do. 2 days later, the DNA results came back. Father had covertly taken a strand of Luna's hair and tested it against a sample from Helen Vance's old employment file, a 99.9% match. Luna was the daughter of the woman who had orchestrated my kidnapping. She was the spawn of the parasite that had eaten my life. My parents wanted to call the police immediately. They wanted her dragged out in handcuffs, but I stopped them. We were sitting in the soundproofed basement theater, the only place we knew Luna couldn't eavesdrop. My mother was shaking, clutching my father's hand as if she were drowning. If you arrest her now, I said calmly, sipping a glass of iced water, she plays the victim. She says she didn't know. She cries. The media eats it up, and she gets a slap on the wrist. Meanwhile, her mother, the woman who actually kidnapped me, is still out there, spending your money. My father looked at me. The fear in his eyes was palpable now. He realized that the feral creature he had brought back from the slums was the smartest person in the room. What do you suggest, Stella? We squeeze, I said, a slow, predatory smile stretching across my face. We don't say a word, but we cut her off. Slowly, we watch her panic. A cornered rat will always lead you to its nest. The plan went into motion. The next morning, Luna's black Amex was declined at a luxury boutique. When she called father in a panic, he coldly told her the accountant was auditing her trust fund due to irregularities. Later that afternoon, the security team quietly removed the keys to her sports cars. At dinner, the seating arrangement was changed. My chair was moved to the right hand of my father, the position of the heir. Luna was pushed down the table, closer to the kitchen doors. She sat there, poking at her filet mignon, her face pale, her eyes darting between us. The silence at the table was predatory. My parents wouldn't look at her, Marcus wouldn't look at her. Only I looked at her. I chewed my meat slowly, staring right through her soul. Is everything okay, Daddy? Luna forced the words out, her voice trembling. Everyone's being so quiet. Eat your dinner, Luna, father said, not lifting his eyes from his plate. The ice in his voice could have frozen the sun. That night, she broke. I was lying in my bed, reading a book on toxicology, when I heard the faint, muffled sound of a burner phone dialing in the garden below my window. I slipped out of bed, parting the heavy velvet curtains just a fraction. Luna was standing in the shadows of the rose garden, shivering in her silk robe, the glow of the phone illuminating her terrified face. I had already anticipated this. Marcus had installed a parabolic microphone on the balcony directly above the garden. I picked up the earpiece from my nightstand and pressed it to my ear. Mom, you have to answer me, Luna hissed into the phone, her voice thick with panic. They know something, I don't know what, but they know. Dad froze my accounts, Marcus won't even look at me, and that bitch Stella just sits there, smiling at me like she's going to eat me alive. A pause, then, a distorted, older voice crackled through the line. Calm down, Luna, you're an adopted daughter. It's normal for them to favor the blood child for a while. You just have to endure it. No. You don't understand. Luna sobbed, stomping her foot exactly like she had when her yacht sank. Stella knows the lullaby. She said it out loud in the car. They're investigating the orphanage. If they find out you're my real mother, if they find out you took her. Shut up, the woman snapped. Don't ever say that out loud. Are you stupid? I'm not losing this, Mom. Luna's voice turned venomous. This is my house, my money. I've spent 18 years kissing these people's asses, acting like a perfect little doll. I'm not letting some trash from the slums take it away from me. I need the powder you used on the old man. My breath hitched. The old man? My grandfather had died of a sudden, unexplained heart attack 3 years ago, leaving his entire voting block of company shares to Luna. It's too risky, Helen Vance warned. Do it. Luna snarled, or I swear to God, I'll go to the police and tell them you kidnapped her. I'll take a plea deal, mail it to the dead drop, tomorrow. She hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dark, the earpiece buzzing with static. A slow, chilling laugh bubbled up from my throat. It echoed in the empty room, sounding entirely demonic. She wanted to play with poison? Against me? It was like challenging a shark to a swimming contest. The package arrived 2 days later at a P.O. box in the city. Marcus's private investigators intercepted it, photographed the contents, a small glass vial of clear, odorless liquid, and put it back before Luna picked it up. Lab analysis of a tiny extracted sample revealed it was a highly concentrated, untraceable digitalis derivative. It induced massive, fatal cardiac arrest. My parents were horrified. My mother vomited when she found out her father was murdered by the sweet girl she had cuddled every night. My father had to be restrained by his security chief to keep from strangling Luna in the hallway. Let her make her move, I told him, standing in his study, my voice absolute. If you kill her now, Helen Vance disappears forever. We need Helen, we need them both in the same room. We have a gala this Friday to celebrate my return, don't we? Let's make it a night to remember. Friday arrived, the mansion was transformed into a glittering palace of champagne and crystal. The city's elite, the press, the politicians, everyone who was anyone was there to see the newly recovered heiress of the Stone Empire. I wore a custom gown the color of dried blood, my hair pulled back stark and sharp. I looked like royalty forged in hell. Luna wore white, the picture of innocent grace, but underneath the heavy foundation, her skin was sallow, her eyes twitching with exhaustion and anxiety. She clung to her purse like it was a life preserver. At 9 p.m., the speeches were scheduled to begin. My father was to drink a toast to my return. At 8:45 p.m., I watched from the mezzanine as Luna slipped into the kitchen. The catering staff was busy in the main hall. She hovered over the silver tray holding my father's crystal champagne flute. With trembling hands, she took the vial from her purse, unstoppered it, and tipped 3 drops into the bubbling golden liquid. She turned and fled. I walked down the back stairs and stepped into the kitchen. The tray sat on the counter. I picked up the poisoned glass. I didn't pour it out. I didn't swap it. I simply carried the tray out to the main hall myself. Ladies and gentlemen, my father's voice boomed over the microphone, silencing the murmuring crowd of billionaires and socialites. Tonight, we celebrate the return of my heart, my true daughter, Stella. The crowd erupted into applause. I walked onto the stage, the silver tray balanced perfectly in my hand. I handed my father the poisoned glass. Luna was standing in the front row, watching with bated breath. Her eyes were wide, practically vibrating with sick anticipation. Once he drank, he would collapse. In the chaos, she would secure her inheritance before he could alter the will. My father held the glass up. He looked at me. I gave him a microscopic, imperceptible nod. It's the one. He didn't flinch. He lowered the glass, looking out over the crowd. But before we toast, he said, his voice echoing through the massive hall, we have a surprise guest, someone who wanted to celebrate my family's legacy. The heavy oak doors at the back of the ballroom slammed open. The crowd gasped and parted. 2 massive security guards walked down the center aisle. Dragging between them was a woman in her late 50s, wearing a cheap coat, her face bruised, her expression feral and terrified. It was Helen Vance. The private investigators had tracked her down just hours after she mailed the poison. Luna's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Crash. Mom? The word escaped Luna's lips before she could stop it. The microphone caught it. The whole room heard it. The whispers ignited like a wildfire. Mom? Did she say mom? Isn't she an orphan? Bring her up here, my father commanded coldly. The guards dragged Helen up the stairs and threw her at my father's feet. My mother stood up, her face twisted in a mask of pure, unadulterated hatred. She walked over and kicked Helen squarely in the ribs with her designer heel. A sickening crunch echoed in the silent room. You stole my baby, my mother shrieked, her aristocratic poise vanishing. You sold my baby to animals and put your filthy parasite in my house. Pandemonium erupted, cameras flashed wildly, journalists shouted. Luna was hyperventilating, backing away toward the exit, but Marcus stepped out of the shadows, blocking her path. He grabbed her by the arm, his grip bruising, and dragged her onto the stage, throwing her down next to her mother. Let go of me! Luna screamed, tears streaming down her face. I don't know her. I'm an orphan. Daddy, tell them. I'm your daughter. You are nothing, my father spat. He turned to the crowd, his face purple with rage. He signaled the AV technician. The massive screen behind us, which had been displaying our family crest, flickered. Suddenly, audio blasted through the ballroom speakers. It was the recording of Luna from the Rose Garden. I'm not letting some trash from the slums take it away from me. I need the powder you used on the old man. The collective gasp from the crowd sucked the air out of the room. The police commissioner, who was sipping scotch by the ice sculpture, immediately set his glass down and signaled to the officers at the door. Murder, my father said into the microphone, his voice dead. She murdered my father, and tonight, she planned to murder me. He held up the champagne glass I had handed him, 3 drops of digitalis, poured into my glass by my sweet, adopted daughter just 10 minutes ago. Security cameras caught the whole thing. Luna was sobbing hysterically, clawing at her mother, who was cowering on the floor. Mom, do something. Do something. Helen Vance looked at her daughter, then looked up at me. I was standing perfectly still, the bloody red dress making me look like an executioner. I smiled at her, a genuine, terrifying smile. You're a demon, Helen whispered at me. I'm a product of my environment, Helen, I replied softly, stepping over her to look down at Luna. Luna was huddled on the floor, her beautiful white dress ruined, her makeup smeared, looking exactly like the pathetic, cornered rat she was. You wanted my yacht, I whispered, leaning down so only she could hear. You wanted my room, you wanted my parents, but you forgot one thing, little sister. I reached out and gently tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear. She flinched, trembling violently. I grew up fighting starving dogs for moldy bread. You grew up crying over scraped knees on Persian rugs. You were never going to win. The police rushed the stage. They hauled Helen Vance up by her collar. When they grabbed Luna, she kicked and screamed, a high-pitched, piercing wail that sounded like a dying animal. Daddy! Mommy! Don't let them take me! Please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. My parents turned their backs on her. Marcus watched her go with eyes like chips of flint. As they dragged her down the aisle, the cameras flashing mercilessly, immortalizing her destruction, she locked eyes with me one last time. I raised my empty hand and gave her a small, mocking wave. Enjoy the cell, cuckoo bird. The aftermath was a bloodbath, and I orchestrated every minute of it. Helen Vance cracked during the first hour of interrogation. She confessed to kidnapping me, selling me to the abusive pig farmer, poisoning my grandfather, and conspiring to murder my father. She was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Luna's trial was the media spectacle of the decade. Her defense tried to paint her as a victim of her mother's manipulation, but the tapes, the camera footage, and her cold, calculated attempt to poison my father destroyed any sympathy. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. 25 years, maximum security. I visited her once, 6 months later. The visiting room was sterile, smelling of bleach and despair. Luna walked out in an oversized orange jumpsuit. Her hair, once glossy and perfectly styled, was a rat's nest. She had lost weight, her cheekbones jutting out sharply. When she saw me sitting behind the thick plexiglass, she stopped dead. She picked up the phone slowly, her hand was shaking. "Did you come to gloat?" she asked, her voice raspy, devoid of its former sweetness. "No," I said, my voice perfectly neutral. "I came to say thank you." She frowned, confusion battling with the hatred in her eyes. "Thank you for what?" "For making them love me." I leaned closer to the glass. When they found me, they were horrified by me. I was cold, I was violent, I was broken. They didn't know how to love a monster. I smiled, tracing the glass with my manicured nail. "But then you showed them what a real monster looks like, a monster who hides behind a smile and tries to murder them in their sleep. Compared to you, my blunt brutality is refreshing, honest. Now, they don't just love me. They worship me, and they fear me, which is so much better." Luna stared at me, the realization washing over her pale face. She hadn't just lost, she had cemented my absolute rule over the empire she coveted. "You're insane," she whispered, a tear leaking from her eye. "I'm a survivor," I corrected her. I stood up, smoothing the front of my Chanel jacket. "Have a nice life, Luna. I hear the laundry duty builds character." I hung up the phone and walked out into the bright sunlight. A sleek black Maybach was waiting for me. Marcus stepped out, holding the door open. He looked at me with a mixture of deep respect and lingering, primal fear. "Everything go well?" he asked cautiously. "Perfectly," I said, sliding into the leather seat. Back at the estate, my parents were waiting in the grand dining room. The table was set for 3, no extra chair, no ghosts, just me at the head of the table next to my father, my mother looking at me with frantic, desperate devotion, and Marcus taking his place quietly. They had given me the keys to the kingdom. I controlled the family trusts, I controlled the estate, I controlled them. My father raised a glass of wine. He didn't check it for poison. He knew I didn't need poison anymore. If I wanted him gone, I'd just take it all. "To Stella," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "To Stella," my mother echoed. I picked up my glass, the crystal catching the chandelier's light. I looked around the opulent room, at the frightened, obedient people who were bound to me by blood and terror. I took a sip of the red wine. It tasted rich, it tasted like absolute power. "To family," I said, my smile finally reaching my cold, dead eyes. And they drank.